And your segue
We're so
strikes
close.
again.
We're so close. All right. So John Lynch was asked about whether or not the Niners should have made a move. The Niners are in a great position, right? This is from Grant Cohn, so you know how he gets down. The Eagles have 6 wins. The 49ers have 6 wins. The Eagles lost to the Giants. The 49ers beat the Giants. The Eagles traded a 3rd-round pick for Jalen Phillips. The 49ers traded a 6th-round pick for Keion White and a 7th-round pick. The Eagles have won 2 Super Bowls since 2018. The 49ers have lost 2 Super Bowls since 2020. And by the way, Keion White, he is missing time with a groin. So he just got to say, he literally lands in San Francisco and his groin starts hurting.
I bet you the Patriots were dynamic stretching.
I would think so. So that's from Grant Cohn. And we know how he gets down. He likes to kind of push the envelope when it comes to covering the Niners and be realistic and kind of fall into the pessimistic zone. And John Lynch was on the 49ers flagship. And coming off of this report from Michael Silver, friend of the show, the reason so many 49ers fans and plenty of people in the building are so frustrated the team didn't make any trades yesterday isn't because they're in search of some knee-jerk sugar high. It's because this injury-plagued defense, as currently constituted, isn't good enough. So that's what Michael Silver had to say, and they are sitting with 6 wins, so they're still in the mix. This is what John Lynch had to say as he was asked about it on the Niners flagship. Quote, yeah, it was a little the question was, is it fair to say the market this year that the prices were too high? And that's, look, it's the Niner flagship. That was a very leading question, by the way. This is from John Lynch. Quote, yeah, it was a little off. We were in on a lot of players. Sometimes it was just a 1-year rental, and we didn't want to get too involved in that. At the end of the day, we made a judgment. We have been active. We have acquired a lot of players to help our team. Now you throw them all out there and you say, this is our team. Let's keep forging ahead. Me personally, as a, obviously Raider fan, but we cover the Niners. I probably know more about the Niners than the Raiders from time to time because the Raiders just make me sad. I'm kind of confused as to why Niner fans, and maybe you can help me out, Niner fans out there, 916-339-1140. I'm kind of confused as to why Niner fans are so upset. I mean, I just don't think you're winning a Super Bowl. You don't know when Brock is coming back. Brandon Ayuk, they said they're about to open a practice window for him to get started on next offseason. Slick Rick, Ricky Pearsall, I'm not saying they're lying, but that whole thing's been really weird. Obviously, no Fred Warner, no Nick Bosa. Sometimes it's just not your year. The 6-3 doesn't really matter to me, Kyle. I will say this, the NFC is fairly open. The Eagles, we're going to see them do battle with the Packers. That'll be, well, I don't know that I'll actually see it, but do the Kings play Monday? Can I listen to it here on the station?
I believe the Kings don't play.
Okay.
It's Sunday, Tuesday.
So I might be driving around with baby number 2 listening to the game if I don't go Fubo TV or whatever it is. But the NFC, and obviously you got the Lions as well. The NFC is wide open, so I understand that piece of that. But just take one offensive player and one defensive player. If you were to bring back Fred Warner and you bring back Ricky Pearsall, I would understand the uproar because I think that would be enough. Bring back Nick Bosa and bring back Brandon Ayuk. Sure. Kyle, I don't understand Niner fans being upset about this. Look at what you're putting out there. Let's not forget, you had arguably one of the easiest schedules and you're about to hit, you had some good breaks at the beginning of the season. You've had some bad breaks, literally and figuratively. Yeah, you have a pretty good 4-game stretch here where it gets easier, but look at what you're putting out there. And I like Mac Jones. He's played well. It's not even about Mac Jones. It's about everything else. I feel like if the Rams actually do what they're supposed to do and take care of business, Niner fans will chill out on being upset that they didn't make a move. Because they beat the Rams. That Rams game, that was more on the Rams, in my opinion, than the Niners. And I'm not being a hater. I just don't think if the prices were high, and look, it's all subjective. But, I mean, you saw Sauce Gardner, 2 first-rounders the prices did seem a bit high this go round. I just don't think this is the season where the Niners got burned before with Trey Lance running around, and he's with the Chargers now. I just don't really see why there is such an uproar with everything. Sometimes it's just not your year. It's just not your year.
Well, I think the other part, too, is like there's sometimes a misconception about how much the NFL trade deadline actually helps your chances of winning. Mm-hmm. Like, the deadline is for making small depth acquisitions, which in the NFL is important, but it's the sport where, like, in baseball, you're making 5 trades or trading 40%. The Padres, I think, traded 40% of their roster at the trade deadline. Mm-hmm. So, like, it's not one of those situations where you're completely remaking your team. You're kind of just making small upgrades. And I went to last year. I didn't realize this much, but the 2 teams in the Super Bowl last year, the Eagles, they made no trades at the deadline last year. Kansas City Chiefs, they traded for DeAndre Hopkins for a conditional pick and Josh Uche for a 6th-round pick from the Patriots, which I'd argue is just as big of a trade as the Keon White deal that the Niners made. The year the Niners were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, I remember they signed, who is the guy from the Broncos? Gregory, I think they signed once he got waived. Mm-hmm. And they traded for Chase Young, which was a big deal. But other than that, they didn't really make any trades at the deadline and still went to the Super Bowl. So, and by the way, Chase Young didn't even play really down the stretch for them. So I don't think making a deal or not making a deal at the deadline is the make or break between winning a Super Bowl and not. Your team kind of is what it is. Even the Colts trading for Sauce Gardner is not the difference between them winning the Super Bowl and not. Yeah, and he gets burned once. You think, man, was that even worth it? By the way, Keon White, D. Winters, and Kalia Davis all returned to practice today. That is per David Lombardi, just so you know. So hopefully they will get to see Keon White. I guess that groin just flared up a little bit. Hey, Keon, the same thing happened to me. I was just jogging around my house. I wasn't practicing in the NFL. So same idea there, Keon. Hopefully we can see him out there. But yeah, especially with the price tag, I think it's in bad faith. I think that would be not malpractice, but closer to malpractice than good practice to overpay for a pass rusher or something like that with this roster. I don't get it. And maybe TC gets it. I don't know what side of the bridge TC's on, whether he thinks the Niners should have made a move or not made a move, but we're about to find out. 916-339-1140 if you want to be a part of the conversation. What's up, TC? All right, what side you're on, man? Help me out here.
Man, listen, a trade wasn't going to help this team out. If they're going to win, they're going to win. There ain't no excuses. Shanahan has his guy. And we're not talking about Brock Purdy, right? Mm-hmm. Right? We can get into that conversation. Brock Purdy was pushed on the Kyle Shanahan, right? That was a John Lynch guy. Like Jimmy Garoppolo was a John Lynch guy, right? And Kyle just agreed to it because Brock Purdy can make the passes that Kyle Shanahan wanted to make in this offense. Mm-hmm. So he said, you know what? He is the real deal. Bro, the real deal was Mac Jones, right? That's why I say I would have respected him if he would have picked the guy instead of Lance. And my question towards you, Allen, is the honest question, right? I know, look, you always taking jabs at Lance, right? We don't know if he's going to be a good quarterback or not. But can we all agree that bro didn't really get a fair shot because he was on the team still?
No, TC, look, man, it's funny you're saying this, and thanks for the call, TC. It's funny you're saying that because back in the day, I was accused of giving too much leeway to Trey Lance. So it's funny how things get perceived that now it feels like I'm taking jabs at Trey Lance. I don't have one negative thing to say about Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance was not put in a good situation. I don't know how much better he would have been if he got put in a good situation, but I have no ill will, negativity towards Trey Lance. Back in my day when I was in the Bay, I was known as a Trey Lance apologist. So trust me on that one, TC. That's not how I feel about it. I did not expect to have a Trey Lance conversation today on November 7, 2025. But I'll just say this. I don't think he got the correct runway. I don't think he got the correct runway. I don't know what he would have been. Personally, that draft, I thought the Niners should have taken Justin Fields. I thought Justin Fields was the pick. So that draft just ended up not being great. And they didn't, I think that they got bullied out of it because giving up those first rounders to go get Mac Jones, who was not slated to go that high and didn't go that high, would have looked bad, right? It would have looked bad. But yeah, I don't think Trey was put in a good situation. I think that it was an idiotic pick by the Niners. I think the Niners saw, who was it? And all those guys ended up not being good. Trevor Lawrence, we still don't know. But between Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, #Cougars, and Trey Lance, as well as, and Mac Jones is finding his way now. Am I missing one, or is it just those three?
Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones.
And Justin Fields, who I mentioned as well. None of them ended up being good, so it kind of saved the Niners. It's not as if they made the wrong pick. None of them were great. They just didn't have to go up to get Mac Jones. But, yeah, I don't think Trey – here's the thing. I don't think Trey got a correct runway in San Francisco. They were a ready-made team, and he needed time. And I just think that styles make fights, no pun intended, as well as things got to fit. And the way Trey wants to play, that's not how Shanahan wants to play, right? They drafted that dude, Danny Gray, who I used to joke that he literally doesn't exist unless Trey Lance is throwing the football, because we just never saw Danny Gray unless he was running some random go route. And that's just not how Shanahan wanted to play. Didn't make sense to me. But with that being said, I just still don't know if Trey Lance got the proper runway, if he would have been a good quarterback. I don't know, and I don't know that we'll ever know. People say the same thing about, it's a little different situation, but David Carr on the Texans. It was just a bad team, right? I don't, not to say that these guys would have been Tom Brady, right? But situations do matter. So I hear you, TC. I'm not, I am not a Trey Lance. Might sound like I'm a Trey Lance hater, but I'm definitely not a Trey Lance hater. I think he should have got, I don't even think he should have got more runway with the Niners. I just think the Niners shouldn't have drafted him. And for Trey Lance to be in a position to where they have to trade him to the Cowboys because he's being looked at as a quote-unquote distraction, even though Trey hardly talks, it's just because of where he was drafted, I thought was brutal. And I took some really, really rude commentary from Niners fans back in the Bay when all that was going down. So I hear you, TC. It just didn't work out. But back to the present and where the Niners are now, I just don't understand, Kyle, why Niner fans were so hell-bent on making a trade with all these guys injured. I get it. Hey, everyone else is, that SpongeBob meme where, Squidward is looking out the window at SpongeBob and Patrick, and people always use it. Hey, you want to be a part of the fun, FOMO, fear of missing out, and that's how some Niner fans probably felt. But this ain't the one, man. And I know everyone keeps saying, well, they mess up those picks anyway. All their third-rounders stink anyway, so just give it up. Come on.
Look, the Niners are in a really weird spot right now, and they've been in a weird spot since Shanahan got there. But this is a specific weird spot where the window feels like it is closing, but they have all the pieces you would say you need as a foundation to win, right? You've got the quarterback making $50 million a year, who presumably is worth $50 million, right? They just gave him the contract, so presumably he is worth that amount. You've got the future Hall of Famers at left tackle and running back and linebacker and edge rusher and receiver and tight end. Like, you've got all these great players, and yet it feels like they're missing something. And I think that's kind of the depth pieces and the young stars that buoyed the team at the beginning now got paid, and they don't have young players ready to fill their shoes, right? So if you're the Niners, getting draft picks that hit is the way to get back into contention. And
that was what it was supposed to be this season.
Yeah.
And they have had some picks that have hit. Then Michael tears his ACL.
And I know that doesn't sound great to people listening to it, but like the way the Eagles have stayed in contention all these years under Hurts has been drafting Cooper DeJean, drafting Quinion Mitchell, getting lucky in Jalen Carter falling to them at the 9th pick in the draft that they got for moving down a year. Giving up a first-round pick for A.J. Brown at the time was a great trade, and then drafting Devonta Smith. Like, the draft has been the key to the Eagles being sustainable. which is why I find it weird that Niner fans are like, well, who cares about these draft picks? Just go get short-term replacements, and that'll be the key, when the draft picks are the thing that is going to bring you back into contention around the stars.
Yeah, and that's what Shanahan said, and a lot of people thought he was playing it coy and giving himself a little bit of, giving himself a little bit of cushion in case the Niners weren't good. Turns out he didn't really need it because his whole roster was going to be on IR, or out for the season. So it ended up not being an issue. But Shanahan told us that's what it was. He said, we got vets, but we do have some young guys in some important spots. So they have to hit for us. Now, would things have been different as far as the draft picks if everybody stayed healthy? If this team stays healthy, they probably don't need to make a trade. So you're kind of just grabbing and grasping at straws as the season is slipping away. I get it. Every season is different. But do you really, in your heart of hearts, Niner fans, think, no, this is the one, right? This is the one. This is the season we can't miss on. I understand that the NFC is fairly wide open, but it's fairly wide open because half of your team are in casts and wrapped up,
or have Sam Darnold as their quarterback.
Because it would be you. It would be you. And I think, the Eagles are beatable. And the Lions are banged up too.
Packers, you don't believe in them.
No, you can't believe in the Packers. Jordan Love's their quarterback. I don't know, half the time he doesn't know what team he's throwing to. So there's going to be opportunity out there for the NFC and even the Commanders, right? A lot of people were high on the Commanders. And Jaden can't stay on the field this season. So I understand it, but this is not the one. Honestly, it just comes back to the Rams, and the Rams were missing Puka for a little bit. And whatever happened with Matthew Stafford's back, I don't know.
Now I see people saying he's the MVP.
Matthew Stafford and Christian McCaffrey, two guys that were over-under slated to play 6 games this season, have been the two healthiest players in the NFC West. And obviously nobody believes in the Seahawks, right? I didn't bring them up, but you know who I'm. They're your dark horse because you know my dark horse. Baker Mayfield.
No. With who? Igbuka? Dragging him back out there?
Yeah, no, get back. I know you're hammy just like everyone else is, but please get back out there.
No, the Bucs are going to be the same thing it always. They might win one playoff game, but
no, stop it.
They're going to get bounced early.
Stop it. On the other side, we have a fun one for you as we discuss NFL Week 10, Week 9. Week 9, Week 10. Kyle, I think it's Week 9.
No, I mean the Broncos are 8-2.
Is it? We are there already.
Yeah, it's Week 10.
NFL Week 10 flying by. Some good games to highlight. And we have a fun segment, Kyler Murray or not. Okay, as Kyler Murray looks to be available this upcoming offseason. Kyler Murray or not, Kyle has cooked up a list, and I'll figure out how much I want to ride for Kyler Murray or not. Allen Stiles, Sactown Sports.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Fidium Fiber.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 weather.